Hello, we ghosties. I'm Chance Lee.
And I'm Amanda McAvoy.
And this is That's So Gothic, a movie podcast about girls, guys, and haunted houses. Today, we are digging deep into the finale of the Mia Wasikowska Gothic trilogy, Crimson Peak.
Ghosts are real. That much I know. I've seen them all my life. There are parts of the house that are unsafe.
Has anyone died in this house? Specific deaths? Violent deaths?
In your own best interest, proceed with caution.
She knows everything.
Do we have to do this? Must we?
Yes. You have no idea what they do.
What do you want? I have to leave.
You have nowhere else to go. This is your home now.
Released in 2015, Crimson Peak was directed by Guillermo del Toro. That name always trips me up. It should not be that hard.
That's pretty good, though.
Thank you. It was written by Del Toro and someone named Matthew Robbins. It stars Mia Wasikowska as Edith Cushing, Tom Hiddleston as Thomas Sharp, Academy Award winner Jessica Chastain as Lucille Sharp, his sister, Charlie Hunnam as Alan McMichael. This movie only has 72% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
And a 55% audience score.
Really?
What are people thinking?
Oh my goodness.
What are people thinking? But Sheila O'Malley for RogerEbert.com gave it 4 stars.
Great.
Sheila knows where it's at.
Good job, Sheila.
And props to Sheila. And it made $74 million against a $55 million budget. So modest success. Guillermo del Toro, where do you stand on him?
I love him.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite directors, Pan's Labyrinth, is probably my favorite movie. So I'm a big fan, you know.
Yeah.
How about you?
I had seen Pan's Labyrinth, and I think that's about it when Crimson Peak came out.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see Pacific Rim.
Oh, I love Pacific Rim.
And I maybe watched part of a Hellboy movie.
Yeah. Don't you hate The Shape of Water, though, right?
Yeah, so Shape of Water was about 4 years after this, 4 or 5 years after this one,
so.
The Fishfucker movie.
Yes.
Yeah, I do not like The Shape of Water.
Yeah, I only saw it, I think, in theaters, and I remember very little about it. But I can see that. I personally don't think that it was his strongest movie and probably what he deserved to win the Oscar for.
No.
Yeah.
That was a bad Oscar year.
Was it?
It was either that or 3 Billboards Over Frances McDormand.
Yeah, which I also know that you hate. I've never seen it, but...
hate that movie.
Yeah.
So this one, at least, like... And both movies I kind of don't like for similar reasons. Because I don't know what The Shape of Water is trying to do by analogizing woman who wants to fuck a fish with, like, black woman being oppressed and gay man being oppressed.
Right.
And maybe it's that she's deaf or hard of hearing, but also, like... that she wants to fuck that fish.
Yeah, it's a hot fish.
I don't even care for the fish.
Right.
I'm not even horny for the fish.
Yeah. Maybe that's why McDonald's didn't want to sell me a fish fillet, because they love that movie.
Yes, you're eating her boyfriend. You're eating her boyfriend. Oh my god.
McDonald's gets rid of the fish fillet after that movie. It's taken them a couple years.
They really should have done a fillet of fish, Shape of Water tie-in.
My goodness.
Have some Happy Meal toys.
Yeah.
Even though it's R-rated.
Extra tartar sauce.
Extra tartar sauce.
Super sexy.
There were no Happy Meal tie-ins with Crimson Peak.
No, get back to the movie we're supposed to talk about.
This movie's can be pretty brutal at times.
Yes.
But let's talk about the cast first. I don't know if there's anything else we have to say about Mia Wasikowska.
Yes.
We've talked about her. Please listen to our first 2 episodes where we talked about Jane Eyre and Stoker.
Yes, Stoker.
With Mia Wasikowska. Both Gothic masterpieces of their own right. So Tom Hiddleston is our romantic lead of this one. He had done Thor a couple of years prior to this, which I had not seen. Yeah. Had you seen Thor going?
Of course. Yeah.
So how did you feel about Tom Hiddleston going into Crimson Peak?
I was not like a Tom Hiddleston super fan. I know a lot of people loved him.
Do they have names like Hiddleheads or?
No, I don't. Oh, they should though.
They should.
I don't know if they do. I bet they do.
I think Hiddleheads is a good one.
Hiddleheads, I like that a lot.
I don't know if that's just a New England thing where people go batshit crazy over fiddleheads.
Oh yeah, fiddleheads.
They should call them Hiddleheads.
Hiddleheads, yeah.
So you weren't a Hiddlehead.
I wasn't a Hiddlehead. I didn't really get the hype, but he's not really my type. Scrawny, kind of greasy looking guy. I liked him in this movie. I mean, I think he fit the role very well. But I went into this movie sort of knowing him from, because I was I think I've already talked about it before, a big Tumblr user. So he was a Tumblr sweetheart for sure. He was like the white guy of the year Tumblr kind of thing. So
is this because of Thor?
I think it was because of Thor. It was because of Loki. Yeah, everyone loved Loki. Was very brooding. Because had Avengers come out before this? I don't know.
You're asking the wrong person.
Yeah, that's true.
As much research as I did did Thor come out yet?
Yeah. What year did this come out?
2015.
15. Okay, I can't remember when Avengers came out, but everyone loved Loki.
Okay, I think Avengers had been out by this point, because I think
so.
Avengers came out while I was still in college.
I think so too. Yeah, I think it was somewhere around there. But yeah, so he was a huge sweetheart on Tumblr, not my type. I kind of expected, very, the reaction that Edward Cullen would get a lot with him in this movie. But I think he did a really good job in this role, honestly.
It was a big deal that you get to see his butt.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember people talking about that and me going, who is this?
Yeah. Buttgate.
I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't do it for me in this either, because he's too greasy.
Yeah.
I do like a skinny white boy.
Yeah.
But he's too greasy.
He's very greasy.
There's some special features on the Blu-ray where they interview him, and he has normal hair. Yes. And I found him very charming.
Yeah, and he is a very charming guy, like outside of acting. He's very, very. I love watching interviews with him. I mean, he bagged Taylor Swift. So that's right.
I forgot about that.
And I think it was right around this time, too.
Was he the one that wore the
iHeart TS?
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I think it was right around this time, too. Maybe like 2017, actually. Maybe a couple of years after. But
I think I knew who he was by then, so it's at least after I had seen this.
Yeah. So he clearly has some sort of charm and over, waifish blonde women. So, makes sense.
Wow.
Good casting,
yes.
Anyways.
What if he tormented her the same way as he torments poor Edith in this movie? Oh. Jessica Chastain just won her Oscar this year. Tammy Faye.
I know.
Jessica Chastain with Tammy Faye and Lucille in this movie is a camp queen.
Yes. Yeah, and I actually just kind of randomly watched The Eyes of Tammy Faye for the first time, like earlier, like I think maybe a week or two ago. And so seeing her in this movie, Crimson Peak, versus that, you cannot tell me that's like the same actress. Like, she has such amazing range, like truly incredible.
I love Jessica Chastain.
Yes.
So much.
She's phenomenal.
So as much as problematic as The Help is, I was in a book club when The Help came out, so I was like contractually obligated to go see The Help.
Yep.
And I was like, who the fuck is this Jessica Chastain?
Yeah.
She is incredible. Yes. She's going to be a star. And I really love her. And we'll dig into her character more, but she is my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah, so phenomenal.
She's great.
Yeah.
And then Charlie Hunnam, he plays the romantic rival.
Yes.
Alan McMichael. Did not know that was his name.
Yeah.
I looked it up on Wikipedia. That's like being named Jim McBob. Like, it's the plainest name.
It really is.
They get into a lot of symbolism with the names, which we can talk about later. But he He was like in that motorcycle show, right?
Yes, Sons of Anarchy.
Okay, yes.
And he was in Pacific Rim, so he's worked with Guillermo before. Although, did Pacific Rim come out before this?
Yes, that was before this.
Yeah.
And I missed that one. That was one I wanted to see in the theater and didn't think it would translate well to my tiny TV screen.
I do genuinely love it, but I understand that.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to see it, I think you can skip it, but I agree it would be really great to see on a big screen again.
Yeah.
But anyways.
This one, did you see this movie in the theaters?
I did actually see Crimson Peak in theaters.
Tell me more.
So I saw it in theaters, and, actually going back to sort of the low audience rating, I think I can kind of understand that, especially if those ratings were from, like, if you saw it in theaters and rated it immediately after, because this movie was marketed so poorly. Like, it was marketed as a horror movie, and it's really not. It's much more of, like, a thriller, psychological, kind of playing my card early, but, my favorite line in it is when Edith describes her stories as not ghost stories, but stories with ghosts in them.
Yes.
And that's what this movie is.
Yes.
And so I can understand why maybe, because I remember seeing it with one of my friends, and she hated it. And I think it is because she expected to go in there and, get a horror movie, something like, because also 2015, right? That's when it came out. That was the year of, like, the Conjuring movies were really big, like, that kind of, like, atmosphere. And it was marketed as a horror movie, and I don't see it as that. So.
No, it's not scary.
Yeah.
That's true. I guess I missed it in theaters, but I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I watched it, I didn't like it as much as I do now.
Yeah.
Mostly because I was so not into Tom Hiddleston.
Yes.
And I was like, why is Edith, this promising young woman who is a writer, throwing her whole life away for this man?
Yeah.
And the inner feminist in me was like, no.
Yeah.
No, none of this would happen if you weren't caving into this. But, of course, it's set in, like, the past.
Yes.
So I understand it more now. Meeting the movie on its own terms instead of what I wanted it to be.
And I think too, and this is kind of getting into, like, stepping ahead a little bit, spoiler territory, I guess, but seeing it in theaters, there was definitely a reaction from, me and my friend, and probably the rest of the crowd too, with the surprise of the incestuous relationship.
Interesting.
I don't think a lot of people saw that coming.
Yeah.
I think it really threw people off.
Wow.
Like, I really think that probably, I mean, I can't obviously speak for everyone, but I would assume that probably lowered people's opinions of it.
And that happens near the very end. So if they're talking to people right after the movie and doing the cinema score or whatever, that would definitely affect that.
I could see that.
I have a quick trivia question for you before we get into our plot summary.
Okay.
And that is, I was looking up Guillermo del Toro, and Google says, people also ask, what do you think is the first question that came up? Google also asks about Guillermo del Toro.
Oh.
Emphasis on the del Toro.
Del Toro. Del Taco?
Did Guillermo del Toro found Del Taco? No. Is Guillermo del Toro and Benicio del Toro related? And the answer is no.
Oh.
But I did think that was interesting because I never even would have thought to ask that.
Yes.
So I thought that was funny that was the number one question.
I never think of them in the same realm.
No.
That's so funny.
No.
They should do a movie together.
They should totally do a movie together. I like Benicio del Toro too.
Yes.
He was a werewolf once, so he could be a monster.
Was he a werewolf?
He was like the werewolf, I think, in a movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So he could be a monster in a Del Toro movie.
For sure.
So let's get into our plot summary. I'll do my best to keep this succinct.
Okay.
So the movie opens with Mia Wasikowska at the end. We open at the end. This is the third of 3 Mia Wasikowska movies that do not start at the beginning.
She really likes giving us a sneak peek.
Yes. Yeah. And she's all like ashen and maybe covered in blood and in a snowfield. And then you get this flashback. Here's how it all began. And are they in Buffalo, New York, I think?
I know they're in New York, so that feels right.
Yeah, they're in New York. Not New York City, but New York. Urban for what is this?
I think it's either the late 1800s or just the beginning of the 1900s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's around the turn of the century. She's got a gorgeous dress on, and she's tromping through the mud, and she's a ambitious young writer. and she meets a gaggle of gals who are talking about boys, and she wants nothing to do with them. She talks about dying a widow or something, and she meets with a publisher. It's very Little Women, where he thinks her stories are too girly and doesn't want anything to do with them. But she has a father who seems to be rich.
Yes.
She's very well off.
Yeah, she is.
And then this mysterious man comes to town. This is Tom Hiddleston, greasy.
Yep.
Not anything to do with oil, even though he has enough in his hair. So he's Thomas Sharp.
Yes.
He has a clay mine,
clay mine.
in England. And he wants funding for it from Edith's father and his company.
Yeah, because he created a machine that will harvest the clay and become more efficient.
Gotcha. He's that cute little model.
Yeah.
That
It's
looks
adorable.
like it looks like they actually made it. There's a lot of practical effects in this
Yes.
movie, which I
Yeah.
really appreciated. So he has the cute little model, but then there's some issues where they think he's not who he says he
Yeah,
is.
he's not
and
trustworthy.
So
he's greasy.
He's greasy.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. He's greasy, and I think the family. You're supposed to get the impression that his family maybe used to have a lot of money. They're on hard times.
Yes.
So maybe he's trying to con them. Maybe not. You're not quite sure. He has the sister, Lucille, very buttoned up.
Yes.
Very rigid.
Oh, yes.
Never blinks.
No.
Never smiles.
Yes.
Jessica Chastain, pale, gorgeous,
Yep.
blacks and reds.
Love it.
And
Very dramatic.
But Tom Hiddleston's character, Tom, also Tom, starts to romance Edith. And they're very good. They dance together with the candle.
Yes.
If the candle doesn't go out, it means you're a good dancer
Yeah,
or
because
something.
he's very smooth. He's doing the waltz.
Yes, that's a really nice scene.
I really
and
love that.
Jessica Chastain is angrily playing the piano over in the corner.
Yes, her amazing dress.
She has that great dress.
Yes.
I was watching the commentary for this movie, and they talk about the back of her dress
How it
looking
looks
like a spine.
spine.
Yes, I didn't catch that.
She looks emaciated. It's so good.
Yeah, she looks very skeletal.
Yep.
So they kind of start hanging out a bit. They Jessica Chastain feeds a butterfly to some ants.
Yes.
With Edith. And that, even though it's CG, they
Yeah.
show the ants dig into this butterfly's eye, and that never fails to gross me out.
It's because that's the scene with them like in the park, right? I love that scene. It feels very like Tim Burton-esque, because you have like, the brother and the sister, and they're blacks and the little umbrellas to shield them from the sun, and then you have Edith who's just like, oh, lovely picnic day, and
She's always in like golds or yellows, and
yes.
it's a park, it's sunny, and Jessica Chastain is full on Lydia Dietz and just like
so good,
straight up black.
so good.
Her outfits are incredible.
I have so much I could say about the outfits.
Yeah, all the costumes are great in this movie.
I'll go into it more with the characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they start to romance each other, and then I don't know, does he propose to her? And then I don't know, there's the will they or won't they for a bit.
Yeah.
Her father gets murdered.
Yes.
Really brutally.
Yeah.
And then
Well, so there's a will they won't they.
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston's character there, he is paid by her father to leave her alone, and he has
That's
to
it.
break her heart brutally, is what he
Publicly,
says. Yeah,
yes.
publicly and brutally. And so he does that. He breaks her heart, and then her father gets murdered, and then Edith, I think, meets him at the train station or something,
Yeah.
and then they get back together, and yada yada yada.
yes, that's right. I forgot about that. So
Yes.
since the father doesn't trust him, thinks he's a lower class.
Yeah, because he got a private investigator too, and you do find out that there's some sketchy thing going on with the family.
Yes,
I
the
don't think you
family's
find out what just yet.
Yeah, probably that they're broke.
Yeah.
And so so that's right. Dad gets murdered, and I haven't even mentioned that there's a ghost.
Yes.
So
my goodness.
there is a ghost
Yep.
that shows up.
Ooh.
Edith sometimes sees ghosts.
Yep.
And the ghost says, "Beware of Crimson Peak."
Yeah, because it's supposed to be her mother.
But it's really scary.
Yeah,
Yes.
why would your mother? Oh my god!
Yes.
My mother came back like that. I would just be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, all the ghosts are really gnarly in this. They're
Yes.
pitch black.
Yes.
And skeletal.
Yeah.
And you can sometimes see like remnants of clothing on
Yeah,
them.
or
And
like how they died. Sometimes you see like blood and
some of them don't have jaws.
Yes.
Or they have the remnants of how they were killed.
Yeah.
And I guess the guy who played the fish that wants to be fucked.
Yes.
He plays some of the ghosts.
Jim or something. What is his name? He's a very, because he also plays this guy. This
the
is being
hand
recorded.
guy.
You can't see it, but yeah, the hand guy.
The Pan's Labyrinth, eyeballs on his hands.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So
he's a good creature.
Something Jones, Don Jones or something.
It's something Jones.
Yeah.
Toby Jones? No, that's a guy that kind of, he looks like Truman Capote. He played Truman Capote.
Okay.
But it is something.
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones. There we go.
Anyways.
He's a good creature. He's some of the
is.
ghosts in this.
He is, yeah.
So yeah, there's that ghost. Beware Crimson Peak. What does Crimson Peak mean? Well, she gets swept up by Tom, Edith does, and to his mountaintop manor,
right?
Which is Allerdale Hall. You gotta have a good name for a house. Gorgeous house.
Yeah.
On this mountaintop. But when you step on the ground, it's all squishy and looks like there's blood coming up underneath because of this red clay. And he goes, yeah, because of the red clay, we call it Crimson Peak.
Oh my God.
So I kind of love it.
I kind of don't know how she didn't put two and two together.
Right.
You know?
No, she really didn't.
Yeah.
I kind of love the gentle predictability of this movie sometimes.
Yes.
It really does adhere to these tropes.
Right.
So they get into the house, and this is the best house ever in any movie, even though it doesn't have a roof.
Yeah, that's fine.
Who needs it?
Honestly.
So it's this gorgeous house that's probably like 3 stories tall.
Yeah.
You can't even say it has a spiral. It's almost like the walkway spirals around the sides of the house.
It's almost like a tower in a way.
Yes.
It like loops on the inside.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous, and it's dilapidated.
Yes.
So there's a huge hole in the roof. Leaves are falling down. The snow falls down. It's just open to the elements.
Yeah.
And Edith just kind of, I guess what is she going to do?
Yeah, she's like, this is fine.
So she starts settling in there, and then the plot progresses from there. Ghosts appear.
Yeah.
Weird shit starts to happen. And she kind of starts being nosy and snooping around and trying to uncover these secrets.
There's like a basement she's not supposed to go into, and of course she does.
She goes in there, and there's the clay
Yes.
pools where the bodies
Yes.
of someone we don't know yet have been buried. And there's Jessica Chastain has these keys.
Yep.
And she finds a diary or something, and she finds some old wax cylinders.
Oh, yeah.
And she listens to them, and it's the voice of one of Tom's former wives that's like, if you're hearing this, I'm dead. Yes. And so, long story short, too late, they have a habit of burying off Tom, killing the wife, and taking the money. Yes. So Edith is just a long line in one of those schemes, except, plot twist, he actually likes Edith.
Yes.
He does care for her.
He's developing feelings.
He's developing feelings for her, which is complicated because he's also doing his sister.
Yeah.
Which Edith discovers. Jessica Chastain starts poisoning her very slowly.
Yeah.
And then when she does discover them making out, Lucille pushes her off the balcony.
Yes.
Which is really... that's a darn fall.
Yeah.
And so now
they make it look hard in the movie. She's like...
Oh, yeah. It's a really tough fall.
Yep.
And so her leg's broken. Yeah. She's in a wheelchair, and she's poisoned. And I was in the special features, they talk about how as the movie progresses, they started using larger props. So they started using larger chairs and larger things to make her look even smaller.
That is so interesting.
Which I thought was funny because you mentioned her being in that giant chair in Stoker.
Yes.
And Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
So people love playing with the size of Mia Wasikowska.
Yeah.
Maybe she is a shapeshifter.
Yeah, or maybe she's actually like 6'6", and no one has any idea.
No one has any clue.
They just keep proportioning the world around her.
It's like they have to do with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise when they were married. Bring Tom like 4 feet closer. So that was really interesting. And so she's like physically shriveling and dying. And Lucille convinces her to sign away all the property and everything. But Edith is going to get away. I think she stabs Lucille with her pen.
Yeah, yes.
And then Tom tries to stop Lucille because he cares for Edith, and in a
Yes.
fit of jealousy, Lucille stabs him in the face, which is really
yeah,
gross.
like squelches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro loves face injuries.
He does.
I think, because of
yeah, Pan's Labyrinth.
yeah,
too.
that guy gets his mouth cut open. So, and I think he dies at some point.
He does.
But at also some point, Charlie Hunnam shows up.
Yes.
Bob McJim.
Right.
To rescue her.
Yeah.
But that doesn't go well because he gets stabbed.
Yeah, but then there's the cool. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you going to say it? Where Tom Hiddleston is going to go shoot him because he. Oh, because at this point Tom Hiddleston hasn't really betrayed Jessica Chastain yet, so he goes to shoot Charlie Hunnam, but he kind of whispers, he's like, "You're a doctor. Show me what won't kill you." And he's like, "Okay, bet, bro."
Yeah.
And so he shoots him, but he's fine.
Yep.
And then things go off the
Things
deep
go
end.
off the rails from there because that's when he gets killed, and then
Yes.
Jessica Chastain stalks Edith through the house.
Yes.
They end up out in the snow near that machine. The great set piece with the
Right.
snow and the red clay.
Yes.
And then Tom Hiddleston is a ghost now and appears to them, but he's
Yeah.
all white.
Yes.
And the blood is like floating out of his cheek.
Right.
And Edith manages to kill Jessica Chastain, and she saves Bob McJim.
Yep.
And then it's implied that she writes this book. She finally gets her
Yes.
book, Crimson Peak. Like the
Yeah.
credits show the book closing, and
Yep.
it says Crimson Peak on
Yes.
it. And
yeah. Oh, and
she's-
Jessica
she's
Chastain is a ghost too, playing the piano.
playing the piano for
Piano.
all eternity.
Oh, yeah.
So that is the simple but complicated plot of Crimson Peak. Do you think I missed anything?
I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of little things, but
We'll get to them.
We'll get to them.
So
Oh,
we'll be back after this break with our Gothic roundup. All right, we are back with our Gothic roundup for Crimson Peak. So every Gothic film has to have 4 elements: a girl, a guy, a haunt, and a house. I think this film has all 4.
Oh yeah.
Who is our girl?
I mean, Edith, but I would also argue Lucille.
Give me the Lucille argument. Edith is definitely, this movie is the Gothicest of Gothic.
Oh, 100%.
That's their intention going into this.
Yes.
Del Toro often says in the commentary he's creating a Gothic romance. He actually doesn't use the word horror.
Interesting.
He shies away from that.
Yeah.
Even though it does have there's some horrific violence in
Oh,
this
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
But give me the Lucille angle.
Well, I kind of think Edith and Lucille a little bit because they kind of mirror each other. You have Edith, who was raised in a family of love, wears a lot of gold, lots of very sunshiny, a very, a relatively positive person, I guess. And then you have Lucille, who's, you kind of think of her cold and dark and, tucked away and wearing all of these, like, crazy macabre, like, clothing choices and things like that. And because actually one of the things I was going to say about the clothes, and someone pointed this out, this is not my original idea, I saw this somewhere, but how apparently Lucille and Tom Hiddleston, what is his name? Tommy. Lucille and Tommy, they are wearing clothes that are actually a little outdated from the time period, but they're still very luxurious and grand, and it shows, like you mentioned, they had money and now they don't, so they're keeping their luxurious clothes from before. Because Edith, she's wearing these like leg of mutton sleeve items. Those were very in fashion at the time, whereas like Lucille's like long train and like emaciated back and thin buttoned up to the chin things, those actually aren't in style.
Okay.
So, it shows like the grand luxury of what they once had. And so I love Lucille so much. She is just a delicious character. And so I see her kind of as like the mirror of Edith.
Yeah, she's like a carapace. This husk.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Edith has some softness.
Right. And there is like a lot of bug imagery too in this movie. So you could think of like Edith as like the moth. And, I mean, no. Edith as like the butterfly and Lucille as like the moth, kind of like playing on each other. So.
Light and dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a great choice.
Yeah. It's really good.
So who's our guy?
You'd have to say Thomas, I would assume.
It's got to be Thomas.
I mean, and then I guess you could kind of pepper in Bob McBob or whatever his name is.
He's our romantic rival, I think.
Yeah.
Thomas fits into the trend that we've had so far here of me just not being into the guy.
Yes.
I'm never into the guy.
Yeah.
So I would totally have picked the other guy.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I would always pick the other guy.
Right?
And he's so cute.
Yeah, he's adorable.
And Tom is just greasy. But I didn't get to dance with him.
That's true. Maybe the other guy is just an awful dancer.
He didn't ask her to dance. He could have. I took tango lessons for a while, very briefly. It was very bad at them. But once the instructor, there was a male and a female instructor. But once the male instructor led me around the room in a demonstration, it was
life-changing,
very exciting.
Yeah.
So. Like I had not yet had that experience the first time I saw Crimson Peak. Yeah. Okay. So the second time, I'm like, I know how being led around the dance floor can really change a girl.
Oh, I can.
So.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. He knows how to lay on the charm for sure.
He really does.
Yeah. He definitely knows his audience too.
If they just given him one shampoo,
yes,
I would have been down for it.
Right. Yeah. Or clay mask. I'm sure that's gonna suck all the oil out of your hair.
They really should have had the side gig as just
like
turned into a spa. Mountaintop spa.
Oh my goodness.
And people love going to haunted places.
Yes.
I would love to go to a haunted spa.
Haunted spa. I'm like blown away right now. That is the best business idea. The hole in the ceiling is already, that's very spa-like.
Yes.
Natural light.
You're in the elements.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Well, we should start our own side business.
Yeah,
haunted spa. We'll just call it Crimson Peak.
Yeah, perfect.
Haunted spa. You can't copyright a title. So.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Crimson Spa.
And Guillermo del Toro was himself accused of plagiarism.
Really?
By Jean-Pierre Jeunet, director of Amélie. Because there's a scene in his movie Delicatessen in which two characters do a little dance on like a bed, and one of them plays the cello, I think, and the other one plays a saw. And I love that.
Yeah.
And it's virtually identical to a scene in which Sally Hawkins and the other guy do a little dance on the bed in Fishfucker movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, Guillermo, you don't have a leg to stand on. We can take Crimson Peak.
Yeah, seriously.
Whenever we want.
Right.
All right, what are our haunts in this one?
Well, I mean, there are literally ghosts.
Literal ghosts.
Yeah, our other two movies have not had literal ghosts yet. Literal ghosts, I mean, I guess that kind of, is it? I mean, you could argue some metaphysical stuff like, innocence and youth. But, literally ghosts. There's ghosts.
There's ghosts. They're creepy.
They're
creepy ghosts. Even the ones that are supposed to be nice are creepy.
Oh, my
like
goodness.
her mother.
Yeah.
Because, they're all, I mean, I guess, the Victorians... Is this Victorian era?
I think it's like Victorian, Edwardian, so right around there.
They didn't, sugarcoat things.
No.
So, you're dead, you're dead.
Yes.
You're dead, you're a skeleton.
Yes.
So, there's no cute ghosts.
Yeah, it was a very death-positive time.
we are a death-positive podcast.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely, we are a death-positive podcast. I actually just finished reading this book, Dark Archives, and it's about books bound in human skin. And most of them came from probably around this time. Wow. And they were done not by monsters or crazy people, but by doctors, because they felt so strongly that, the human body was something to study and, so very death positive.
Well, why let things go to waste?
Exactly. I know. I would love to be made a book.
I want to be made into jerky.
Ooh.
I want to be made into jerky when I die.
Yeah. Nice. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know who will eat me, but
yeah,
hopefully I can convince someone.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind being a nice ottoman.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice. I don't know. I don't want people's feet on me.
I don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a nice ottoman though, one where you're ooh, should I put my feet on that, or should I put a cute little serving tray filled with tea cakes?
Oh,
that would be so
nice.
cute.
Yeah.
I want to be that
in a private residence, not a public ottoman.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a duke or something.
My library has some ottomans.
Oh, really?
Which I just find uncouth.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to have a back when I'm reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel comfortable putting my own feet up.
Yeah.
In a public space.
That's very true.
That feels a little too comfortable.
Yeah, right.
I had to do my
Who do you
story
think you
time
are?
in that area, and I literally moved to the ottoman because I thought that if a parent put their feet up during my story time, I would never be able to allow them back.
Never recover.
No. I don't want to know who is comfortable enough to do that in public. Like, if it's a child, that's one thing. But if one of my storytime moms just came in and, like, kicked off her shoes and put her feet up during my storytime, I would say, who do you think you are?
The world would never be the same.
No.
That place would be tainted to you.
Yes.
Tainted ground.
I would burn the chair.
Of course.
And ban them from the library.
Yeah, burn the chair, bury the ottoman.
Yes.
No, burn the chair, uncover the ottoman, and then have it reupholstered in my skin.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
And then that'd be fine.
Okay.
We'd take good care of it.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Anyways, what were we talking about?
Ghosts.
Ghosts.
so there are ghosts in this movie. They're all ghosts of dead people.
Yeah.
The movie has a lot of subtle touches that
Yes.
me, sometimes not very observant,
Yes.
didn't pick up on.
Yeah.
But in the commentary, they talk about how there's the one ghost, I think they broke her jaw or something, so she can't talk. The jaw just hangs there. And she's the one whose wax cylinder they find. So it gives her a voice from beyond the grave. They put so much thought into it. It's really
Yeah.
impressive. So if you are listening to this and you haven't watched or listened to the commentary on Crimson Peak, definitely do that.
I'm not, so I will.
Get the Blu-ray from your local library.
Yeah.
Finally, we've got the house.
Oh.
We've got an iconic house.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we've talked about it a little bit. It is so stunning. I would live there in a heartbeat.
And they built this set. Like, they built this house.
it,
Yes.
really?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow, it is so beautiful. I love, my favorite like scene and room is when they're in sort of like that like observatory kind of thing. It's like, you know, it has like the windows, the slanted windows, and oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's a great house.
Yeah.
And it has those, again, like the walkway, as you said, spirals around the sides like a
Yes.
tower. It's not like there's a central spiral staircase,
Yeah.
but you go around the whole side of this cylindrical, like a silo almost. And there's my favorite scene in this movie. There's two of them, both with Jessica Chastain.
Yeah.
But when she's chasing Edith and she
Yeah.
has this robe that is just
goes
billowing
like-
out behind
yes.
her as she's shrieking.
Yes.
She's finally let her hair down.
Yes.
She has this dark pitch black hair that's flying behind her.
Yep.
It's been pinned up in a bunch. She's been pinned up this whole time.
Oh, yeah.
And now finally she's let loose.
She's free.
Her hair's out.
Yes.
She has scissors or a knife or
Yeah.
something, and she's chasing her down the stairs.
So
It's one of the
beautiful.
greatest shots.
It's so good.
In a
yeah.
movie full of good shots.
Yes.
And it follows the scene where she is feeding Edith the porridge.
Yes.
That is, Edith knows is poisoned,
Yeah.
but can't
She's so hungry.
refuse it.
Yeah.
And the way Jessica Chastain just scrapes the spoon around the side of this bowl every time is
Yep.
just genius.
Yeah.
And she's so good.
She's so phenomenal.
Watching
in
this movie, I remember watching this movie at home on my
Yeah.
couch with a friend of mine, but he knows I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But I was practically sitting on the edge of my couch and
Just, like,
clapping.
giddy, yeah.
Yes, giddy with how wicked she is.
So good. She's like one of the best characters in like any movie recently. So good.
Yes.
She just, because she's not over the top, you know, crazy evil. She's just so
And you
good.
believe it. You
Yes.
believe it. This is a family. They've been isolated
Yes.
by choice because they had this romantic attachment to each other. So
Yeah.
they split up, or they tried to split them up as children because
Yeah.
they were attracted to each other.
Yes.
And so now they've like self-isolated.
Yeah,
And
because
then,
they killed their mother.
oh, that's right. And so they have a habit of murder.
Yeah, love it.
And you know they've done this, and now you kind of feel for her because
Yeah.
now she's been betrayed
Yeah.
because her brother lover wants to leave her.
Yeah.
And so you understand where she's coming from.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
Something too about the house that I'm just kind of realizing now is all of the rooms except for the piano room, I think, and the main room with the hole in the ceiling, all of the rooms are actually quite small and
Yeah.
claustrophobic. You know, for such a grand house, like just thinking of like their bedroom, you know, where she's always in bed. That room is so like claustrophobic
Yeah.
feeling. It's really incredible what they did with the set. It's like this beautiful airy house, but it, you know, it's just it's also so imposing. Oh, it's so beautiful.
And they have that creepy elevator.
Yes.
It's a cage
love
that
that.
lowers down underneath the house where all
Yes.
the clay
Yep.
is. It looks like a bloody dungeon.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah, she gets stuck in there at one point, right? Isn't Jessica
Yeah.
Chastain trying to like stab her through the bars?
Yes, yeah. So good.
It's so good. This movie is
good.
so good.
Yep.
And we have our bonus Gothics. We have both romantic rival
Yep.
and incest bonus.
Yay!
As you talked about, we got the incest bonus. I guess, like, I don't know if it's just because I know it's a movie or what, but, you know, it's just like, I'm like, ooh, incest. Like, it's such a classic Gothic trope.
Yes, it
so
really
I
is.
am excited when that
Right.
happens.
Like, well, because they went for it,
Yes.
you know? Like,
And I guess I didn't think, like, a mainstream audience might be put off by that.
Yeah. I mean, so 2015, I saw this when I was, so how long ago was that now? 7 years.
7 years.
So I was like 21.
Okay.
So, you know, I wasn't really an adult then, you know, I'm probably still not one.
Same.
But, you know, like it really threw me for a loop. I mean, because you have so many movies where it's like, quote unquote incest, but then they kind of like skirt around it somehow. They're like, oh, they're adopted, you know, this was incest.
Yeah.
Like there's no skirting it. They killed their mother for it. Like
Yeah.
they are loving on each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, but yeah, they went for it. So
They
good for
go
them.
for it. And yeah, we have because yeah, they're making out. I think
Yeah.
she's giving him a handy.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
and because the sort of mysterious, there's a mysterious baby crying. That's her baby. Did you kind of miss that?
No, yes.
Yeah. So
Is it a ghost baby?
It's a ghost baby. And so I think it's implied, like for a lot of the movie, or, you know, until
Yeah.
Edith finds out, she thinks it's one of the wives' babies. And then Edith says something like, oh no, that was my baby. I wanted to keep the baby or something. And I don't know if it dies. I don't know. I don't really remember.
Yeah,
but
probably because of
yeah, it's an incest baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think now that you say that, I think I caught that my first time.
Yes.
And then was distracted.
Right. Yeah. Well, by everything
watch
else.
through everything
well, that's
else.
the thing is, it's like not the craziest part, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many layers to this movie.
It's so
great.
good. You could watch it 100 times.
Oh, and I guess I
probably.
did the second time I watched it with the commentary, so I might have missed a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of
with
like the
them
small
talking
dialogue.
over it.
Yeah.
And Guillermo did talk about the romantic rival, though.
Yes.
And how he, you know, specifically wanted this strong female heroine.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want her to have to be saved by a man at the
Yes.
end. So he turns it around. She
Yep.
saves him.
Yep.
She drags him out of the
Yeah.
house.
She's
at
like, what the hell
end.
were you even doing here?
That's probably another reason why audiences don't like it. Because
Yeah.
misogyny.
Yes, of course.
We
hate
don't
women.
get to see this woman be victimized.
Yeah.
We don't get to see her get rescued.
Right?
What's
Ridiculous.
the point of this? We don't get
Yeah.
to see her butt.
Come on.
So yeah. So I do like the specific choices he made.
Yes.
For a movie, again, I think that's written and directed by men.
Yeah.
I'm pretty impressed
Me
by the depiction.
Yeah.
And especially with Jessica Chastain's character, she really could veer into Harpy territory.
Yes.
Shrill female villain, and both the character and her portrayal keep it from reaching
Yes.
that.
Because it could have been very much like a, you know, she hates Edith for sort of, and I'm sure she does a little bit, like hates her for what she is, you know, just, oh, I hate her because she's a lady, because she's fancy, you know, ooh, look at her fancy clothes. But it's more she hates the idea of her. She hates what she's doing, you know, oh.
And she's jealous.
She's
'cause
jealous.
It's her, yeah,
That's
she's
her main man.
stealing her man, her brother man.
Right. Come on.
Well,
Hands off.
anything else on our Gothic categories?
No, not really. It's just a lovely little Gothic goulash.
It is a Gothic goulash.
It's a Gothic goulash.
Well, that spoils it a little bit, but we'll be back after this break for
Mm-hmm.
Is It Gothic? Let's see how Gothic this goulash
I bet
is.
it's not.
All right, we're back with our final verdict on Crimson Peak. Is it Gothic?
No, it 100% is.
This is like 110% Gothic.
Yes, this is like what you thought Gothic was. Like somehow they peppered more on there.
Yes.
They added more Tabasco to that goulash.
They really did. This is a spicy Gothic goulash.
Yeah.
It is so good. You know they went into this understanding the
Yes.
Gothic tropes, both adhering to all of them and twisting some of them a little bit. Yeah. And the only thing I took objection to from the commentary is his Del Toro trying to say it's Gothic romance versus Gothic horror.
Okay.
And that would be an interesting conversation, I think, that we'll have over the course of this podcast. Yes. I definitely refer to this as horror. But I think maybe because I myself I didn't understand the romance between Tom and Edith.
Right.
And so once he said that and I viewed it through that lens, I saw it. And so maybe that early marketing that I know I saw, even though I don't remember, seeped in where I did see it as a horror movie, but a different kind of horror movie. Yeah. Instead of not being able to see it as just a different type of movie entirely.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I wouldn't agree that, in my opinion, Gothic romance, obviously I don't want to go against the director if that's what he says it is. It can be.
Death of the author. You can...
True.
His opinion has no value.
But, to me, Edith and Thomas are not, endgame. They are not a, relationship that I don't think any of it was really ever based on romance, even when he started feeling for her, you know. I think it was very escapism, just, I get it. But, I mean, I don't know if I really would personally call it horror. I definitely, if someone asked me for a horror movie suggestion, this is not the thing I would think of immediately.
Yeah, that's true.
But I also don't know what I would suggest it for. Someone would, I think, have to come up to me and say, what's a good Gothic movie? Yes. And I would go, here you go. This is the one I have for you. Yes. So, I don't know. I guess I flip-flop on that a little bit. Yeah. There are definitely scary parts, though.
And gory.
And gory.
I don't think we explicitly mentioned that it's Jessica Chastain's Lucille that murders her father by slamming his face on the sink.
Yes.
And they do this great thing where he's shaving with one of those old school flat razors, and their camera's always lingering on the razor. Yeah. So you just think she's going to come in and cut his throat or something awful, but instead she just beats his face in on this porcelain sink, and they show his face just caved in for a second.
The broken porcelain and the blood is seeping in with the water. Yeah, it is. It's a gory movie.
And because nothing happens violent for the first, half hour. Right. And then this happens and you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
And then, she stabs... Face again. She stabs Tom in the face. One of the ghosts doesn't have a jaw.
Yep,
a lot of face trauma. This family.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's definitely Gothic.
100%.
110% Gothic.
15%. Just going to keep upping you.
It's going to keep getting Gothic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening to us talk about Crimson Peak, the peak of Gothic film. But there's still more to talk about. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can drop us an email at sogothicpod@gmail.com and follow us on Letterboxd at letterboxd.com/that'ssogothic. Join us next time when we'll discuss Toho's 1977 answer to Jaws. Yeah, that's right. We're going to need a bigger house. Boo-bye.
Bye.